I get into what I want to talk about as far as the course is concerned, or as far as my talk is concerned, I want to give you guys the update on my dad. So, we've got family coming in, major family. Since my dad has been sick, he has had, there were 9 all total of his siblings, him and his siblings, and one is already passed. And so, so far, he's had 2 brothers come at once, then another brother come, and they all came from Mississippi to see him and to see how he was doing. Now, then he's had a nephew to come, and so we've had constantly, seems like we've had family coming into town. Tomorrow, his 3 sisters arrive, so there's 2 coming from Seattle, 1 coming from Mississippi, and his youngest brother. They're all coming, which will make all of them having come, yeah, having come visit him. And, there's something to be said, I always say, about giving people their flowers while they're still alive and can appreciate them, and showing your love and support. Don't wait for the funeral. Go when you can, when they're there to acknowledge the fact that you're here and you care. So we've got family coming in tomorrow, and we've been trying to prepare. So on this past Friday, Thursday, I was looking at my father as he lay there in bed, kind of lethargic and, not really, whatever. He was just doing what he normally does. However, he's not back in the hospital. And it was because of, and I don't know if I told you guys about this, I've been struggling with this facility where he is about water. And they would give him water, these 2 little Dixie cups of water, whenever they gave him his meds, and they pour it into the feeding tube. And he only gets meds twice a day. So that means he was having 2 cups of water per day. So, for me, I don't know if I told you guys about this last week or not, but for me, as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, we're in this nursing facility, and I'm saying that everything seems exactly the same. So when we go there, it's not as if they've changed his meds or doing anything different, but he always ends up going back to the hospital. So I told you guys about this. And so I started the argument with them about giving him water. And so even when they are not giving him enough water, no, the IV was strictly running his feed tube. And so I told him, I said, what's different about the place where he is now and all the other places is that all the other places have a flush that goes right in with the feeding. So every few hours it would flush, meaning it would run water through the tubing. And so now since I was harping on it so much, they've actually, I don't know. They said that according to the orders that they had, the doctor had put down an order for him to have water every 4 hours, but the nurses weren't giving him water every 4 hours. They were only giving him water with his medicine. So so whatever they said, they would actually get this. And so I was debating about this. And so, now they've actually ordered in an extra part, a separate part. My dad is the only one that has it so far, but they ordered in the separate part that automatically flushes the water in with his feeding. So now he's getting more water. Yay! But anyway, I'm looking at him on Thursday, and I was thinking to myself that, okay, we've got him without having to go out for any more infections. He hasn't had another urinary tract infection, nothing flaring up. So we've got him to this point, and I was thinking to myself, okay, so his sisters are coming in town, so I need to try something drastic. So of course, Dr. Tuttle, Paul, said to me months ago, as a matter of fact, it's still here on my screen because I saved his note. He said that he sent me to a website called Stroke Alley, and he said he was half paralyzed October 30th from a stroke, and he says he's better, about 80% now, and he found things that could help. And so he sent me this ubiquinol curcumin, that he told me about. So my idea of doing something drastic was thinking to myself, let me just go and get some of this ubiquinol and see if it works. Well, online I found it at the same site that he said. Okay, so yeah, whatever. I found it there, but then I didn't order it right away. I was looking for a better price. So I kept going around in circles, and then it needed to be a liquid form so it could go in the feeding tube, blah, 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 blah. Finally, I was just desperate on Friday to make something new happen. And so I go out to a store and I go to all these different stores around here, and I kept asking everybody about this Ubiquinol. Ubiquinol, do you have it? Do you have it in a liquid form? Nobody had it. I needed to order it. Ordering it would take too long for it to come in. It would come in after his sisters were gone. So I said, okay. So I just went and I got the gel caps, the capsules of the Ubiquinol. And that was what I decided I was going to do. I just got the capsules. So I took the stuff and I actually stuck a pin in there. A tack is what I had. I stuck a tack in it and I squeezed it into some water, and then I shoved it into, or squirted it into, his feeding tube. And I thought, well, a little bit probably got in there, so I'll have to figure out how to melt this down so it'll go in, right? Yeah, that's exactly it. I was so determined. And so I thought, okay, just a little bit, if that'll do something, great. And if not, I'll just try something different tomorrow to see how I can get it into a system. That was Friday. I go home and I come back in on Saturday. And when I walked in the door on Saturday, my father's eyes were wide open. He turns and he looks at me and he says, "Hey, San," as if nothing had ever happened. And I'm just standing there like, oh my God, who was this man that has suddenly waken back up? He was so alert. He was joking with the staff. I mean, everybody is just looking at him and he's just standing there, sitting there, like thinking, like, what the heck is wrong with everybody? Yeah. I was so, and I kept thinking, oh my God, it wasn't even the whole pill. It wasn't everything. And so he went to therapy. He sat there in therapy, and oh my, it was so fabulous. His eyes are clear, they're focused. He seems like he's paying attention to everything. He's gotten back to being very nosy again. He's asking, well, what did he say? What did you Who are you talking to? Just like his old self. Except for without the voice necessarily. Even that, when we put his little voice thing on, he's doing better with that. I'm sorry, I know I'm going on and on about this, but I am totally blown away at the difference. As is, I sent out a text as soon as I saw him to all my siblings, and they came running up because yeah, they came running up because they wanted to see it, and they were amazed too. It was like the difference of night and day. And so far we're just talking about his level of alertness, his clarity of thought, his ability to focus. He's trying harder when we go into therapy. I took him out the other day because he was looking so good and felt so alert. I took him outside. I think that was a bit much. He seemed like he got a little sunburned in just 15 minutes. And I guess it's because he hadn't had any sunlight on his skin in so long. This is the first time he'd been out since January. And so he's got a little color back in his face now. And it's like we've turned a corner. So Paul, I am just totally indebted. I am so thankful, so grateful that you told me about this. And I am like a believer. I need to start popping those pills myself. But it was the ubiquinol in that CoQ10 family, and yes, it was just truly amazing. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I've been sneaking putting it in this too, but everybody is so aware of the change that has occurred in him, and so yeah. I'm so excited. So yeah, I'm about to order the liquid form and get it on back order or whatever. Order a couple of bottles. But yeah, you guys have made a believer out of me. So thank you so much for that. It's so exciting. So I'll keep you guys posted on that and how all that goes. So, I'm needless to say, I've had an absolutely fabulous day. Just a wonderful day, and so I'm so glad to be here to be able to talk to you guys about this other love. I will say hello to him for you, and so I keep saying, telling everybody that right here on ACMI Gatherings where I found out about this and telling them about this guy Paul sent me a note and off screen in the background, and he was telling me about this, and and I'm just telling everybody about all of this. So I am so very excited, and I don't know that I got all of what you said. I know there is that curcumin from LEF that you also told me about. But I'll have to keep on and get all this stuff together, and just the whole thing is just exciting to me. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that a little pill could actually do so much? And I don't even know the science behind it. Somebody's asked me about what it is, and I was like, I don't know. He just said, and so I'm willing to try, and I'm so glad I did. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so great. Okay, so today I am, let's see, what am I talking about today? So let me do my introduction to A Course in Miracles, because that's how I always like to start it off. And yay. And so once I do that, then I can jump into what I really wanted to talk about. And so that is great. Um, okay, so I still don't even, okay, so I'll revisit that. I don't know what it is. I don't even know that I need to. I see the difference in him, and so it's great. So from the introduction of the Course in Miracles, it says this is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposites. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Isn't that just awesome? So, like I said, you guys welcome, and bless your hearts for being here, and how blessed I am for being here and being a part of this. I was listening to a couple of shows over the weekend, and probably even this morning, and was thinking about so many different things. I mean, so much crosses my mind as I listen to other folks and as they talk. And I particularly love when we share our stories. I mean, our personal stories, things that happen in our lives, and how we reorder our thinking according to or in alignment with the lessons that we're learning here. We come to this room, and a lot of times I hear us work through issues online. And I know if you're anything like me, you're probably sitting back and saying to yourself as you listen to other people talk, you're probably saying to yourself, get over it already. I mean, it's like, really, how much time are we going to dwell on and spend on some of the things that we get upset about? And as I listen, I think it's so cute. I think it's so cute as we come in with the things that have just happened just that day. And we kind of talk about it and we work through it and we get to a place where we're saying, you know what? You could just forgive. You could just let it go. You could just think a different way. In the background, in our minds, we're saying this even when we're not quite there ourselves in the different arenas in our lives. And I say that because I know that for me, it's not as if I'm not there, but sometimes we need a moment before what we know kicks in with what's actually happening. I was talking to a guy, some guy that I met, and I met him months ago, and he calls me up all the time, and he tells me about how he wants to get together, how we are made for each other, and he's telling me all this stuff all the time. And I say to him, and I said to him all the time, I say this, as when I answer the phone, because a lot of times I don't even answer the phone, and I know he's not watching this, so it's okay. Uh, I say to him, I was like, your words don't match your actions. And a lot of times, our words, the things that we think, the ways that we think, don't always come into alignment with what we say that we believe. And sometimes it takes a moment to get the two to kind of line up. It's as if we need to get to a spot where we remember. And as a matter of fact, I was listening. When was that? Was that today that Dove talked about that show Unforgettable? That remembering that thing. Sometimes we don't automatically remember, and so in our remembering who and what we are, what we've learned, and how we want to bring it back together, in that remembering, then we can reorder our thoughts. So to keep in line with that, let me tell you about something that happened to me just today. Um, and my process and my thinking behind it. I love when I can give you and Lord, let me say, Lord, let me say it here and now. I am not asking you to send me more drama in my life so that I can get these lessons more clearly. I'm not asking that at all. I have just enough. Please do not up the scale, but I will tell you guys about this one particular thing. I'm not trying to call forth anything else. Let me just tell you about this. So today, I go over to my father's house because we're preparing for my aunts to come in town, like I said. And my car has been parked over my dad's house, and I've been driving the truck that he has because he's got this nice truck, and and my car is okay, but I've been driving his truck. So I go over to my father's house, and as I always do whenever I go over there, I just get in my car, I start it up, and I let it run while I'm in the house, because since I'm not driving it, I need to keep the battery and everything working correctly. I've done this for months. So even in the wintertime, or when it was cold, I'd start it up. I mean, and this is, maybe once a week, maybe every 2 weeks. I just start it up, and I go in the house, I do what I got to do. And when I come back out, I turn it off and I go on about my business. Well, today when I go over there and I go to start up my car, it doesn't start. My car doesn't start. So I'm just like shocked. I tried it a couple of times, and it's not turning over. So I'm like, doggone it, what the heck happened? So I go into the house, and my sister is there, and we've got some other people over there doing some cleaning. And I said to my sister, I said, I said, my car didn't start. And she was like, really? She was like, is the battery in there? And I was like, the battery? I was like, yeah, battery is in there. She said, you better check it. You know how your brother is. And I thought, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So here I go. I go running back out the door because when I did come up and I did start it this time for the first time, I had left the key in the house because just in case somebody needed to move the car, the key was there in the house. So I go back outside because I'm thinking to myself, my car wasn't locked when I went to get into it. Which was unusual. I go back out there. I pop the hood on the car and there's a battery in there, but it's not the battery that I bought to go in the car. Now, it's not my battery. Uh, and so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, who the heck swapped out my battery for this imposter battery? And now my car doesn't start. Oh my goodness. So, I'm just a little irritated as I'm going on to my next spot. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, how dare somebody go in there and take my good working battery out of my car without my permission and leave me some junk, and my car's not starting. So, of course, I'm going through all these thoughts and all this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, but this is, whoever, I'm assuming that it's my brother who is the culprit because he was having car issues before. I'm assuming that he was the culprit. And he switched out my battery. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, well, as a custom for my family, what we do is we get mad at each other. We'll state our case, we'll argue, we'll say, how dare you, we'll maybe even stomp our feet and scream a little bit, but then it's done. Once we've made our point and stated our case, it's done. And I don't even know that in the past, replacing something has been a requirement. It's that in the moment we express what it is that we're feeling and then we leave it be. And so I kept thinking to myself, the option or the idea of forgiveness never becomes an issue because what we always do is we opt for, I love that movie that we opt for the relationship. I wanted to say what movie it was, but we opt for the relationship, the family, the bonds that join us. We opt for that without making it seem like it's a federal case. And so sometimes I'm thinking to myself that I don't know if that's why things continue to happen. But as I was listening earlier today, I was thinking how apropos it is that I started hearing this thing, all the lessons in my mind as I was thinking about it. And I kept thinking to myself, okay, the question of whether or not it's forgiven is not an issue because of course it's already forgiven. If I was sitting there and I'm saying to myself, I'm only dealing with what I see in the past, okay, fine. If I'm never upset for the reasons I think I am, okay, maybe not. But at the same time, it's as if I need to say and I say this to people all the time, I owe it to myself to honor my feelings and my emotions by at least saying, ouch, you're stepping on my toe. And and it's so funny because there are so many different schools of thinking when it comes down to the course and how we deal with issues. I remember talking to, and we've got so many, we've got Course in Miracles groups that meet here in Cleveland. You guys are familiar. You know that I've got a class that I run. Tony has a class that he runs. We've got other people that are in and around Cleveland that also teach A Course in Miracles. And even here on ACMI Gather and in different places, we have different people that talk from different perspectives about how they have interpreted the lessons. some people will tell us that, or will say that, from what they have understood about the course, they are totally disengaged with what they see around them in the world, because all of it is an illusion. We're all just dreaming, and therefore it doesn't matter anyway. It's not real. There will be people who don't believe in the social activism and treating your brother any kind of particular way, because they don't believe that there's any more than one of us here, and so we need not bother. I'm telling you, there's all these different interpretations, so we need not bother with dealing with other folks, and so they choose not to. And for me, I am, saying that, okay, whether this body, this experience I'm having is real or not, I'm saying that I'm going to experience it to to the nth degree while I'm here. If I'm in this body right now, it may not be the truth about me in the sweet by and by, but right now I'm fully into it. And right now I'm going to, get my toes done. I'm going to love this body. I'm going to have sex. I'm going to do all the things that make me feel good and give my life this joy and this zest that I experience, because I'm here now. And so it may not be in 50 years time that this is the same body. It may be that all of this stuff was just a dream I was having. That may be the truth. But while I'm here, while I'm here, I get to enjoy this experience. And so while I'm here, I think that each of us come to this life to learn, to grow, to show who and what we know to be true about ourselves, and to point other people back at themselves, so that they see that the truth about who they are, and not just this out here experience, this this experience of just the world around them, but the internal spiritual life that's so important. I think that all of these things that come to us for our growth and our good. And doesn't it say that, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all understood that everything comes to us with this love, that through it we might grow, that it is for our best and our highest good. And so how can we sit there and say, or curse the experience, or act like we're not grateful for the experience, no matter what it is, if it's helping us to grow? And so for me, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, my battery is gone, my car is dead. I've got this challenge here now. But wonder if this is really about not about him taking my battery, but about me understanding something different. Wonder if it's nothing to do with the battery altogether, but something else. And this person becomes the way shower, becomes the facilitator of a new and different experience for me that I might not have embarked upon on my own. A lot of times, I love to talk about this, because a lot of times I see people who get stuck in the experience or in the incident without seeing the long-term effects of what that can bring. So yes, I'm going to fuss. Yes, I'm going to say, how dare you take my battery? But at the same time, I'm also going to say, okay, and now what, universe, do you have for me? Now what? Now what? Given the circumstances, given the conditions that are here, now what? So, for everything, that is the case. Everything, there is um, this wonderful, and why am I grappling for words? I don't understand this. Where is my vocabulary? Did it go floating up in the sky somewhere? mean, come on. I know these words. I know what I'm trying to say. Come on, pull them down from me. I'm claiming it now that my vocabulary is back wherever it went. Good Lord, I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. So, so it becomes this thing of us trying to look at and seeing where there is being a space created for our own good and for our own growth that we might not have seen before. So let me revisit the guy who I met, who I'm talking about, who I was talking about earlier. I told him the other night when he called me, and he kept telling me about we should be together, and we'll make such a good couple, and he's going on and on and on, and I'm thinking to myself like, I said to him, I said, I think you're crazy. I said this to him. I said to my brother, I think you're crazy. And so he's telling me, no, I'm not crazy. And I said, your words and your actions don't match. And it seems as though you say you want one thing, but you do something different. How many of us do that? How many of us say that we want something, and yet we put absolutely no effort, no action, no anything towards making it come into fruition? If you say that you want a relationship, like say for instance, say I say that I want a relationship, but I'm so busy shooting down everybody, not you, not you, not you. and and for me, I see my reasoning. I see my reasons. But how much of that is self-sabotage? How much of that is saying that that no, this cannot be, this cannot stand because of this and because of that, without necessarily making my actions congruent with, in line with my thoughts. We all have done that. And so, it becomes this thing of, let me see this differently. How can I see this differently? I have I, heaven knows I have no neutral thoughts. I have no neutral ideas, none whatsoever. And so all of these things I have given meaning to. And apart from the stuff that I have given meaning to, it probably has no meaning. And so it becomes this thing of, how do I then reorder my thinking? How do I bring it in alignment with what I think? I talked to you guys some months ago, probably, who knows, it could have been last year, about this idea of cognitive dissonance. And this idea that we have one perception over here on this side, one perception of how we want to be, how we want to see things. And then we've got reality over here on the other side. And reality doesn't necessarily align with what we desire. And so it becomes this thing of, how do I then pull both of them together so that they become in alignment with the other? Is it to deny that anything exists? Or is it to say, look at, because a lot of times we've got to pull back and we've got to look at what it is that we're saying, what it is that we're thinking, what it is that we're believing, and then really look at it and see if it's in alignment. So if I'm saying that I love the Course in Miracles, I can't tell you that I love A Course in Miracles and then say, but I got problems with that Jesus guy. I can't say that, right? Because I can't separate the two. So what needs to happen is that I need to bring it into alignment, my thinking into alignment. What's the issue that I have? If I have an issue, where's the issue? And so is my issue with the Jesus guy, or is my issue with the teaching that I have been taught for years on end? Or is it my issue with religion? Is it my issue with the what do you call it, with the masculine energy that it entails? Would I feel better if I was listening to Mary instead of Jesus, Jesus's mother? Would I feel better if I was listening to her rather than him? I'm not saying that I have a problem with any of this, but if something is out of alignment, I need to actually look at the thing rather than just throwing it away and thinking that the problem is inherent in the thing rather than inherent in me and my own thoughts about it. Does that make sense? Maybe. So maybe it's my thoughts. Maybe it's my thoughts that are attacking me, not somebody else. It's always self. When we talk about this thing, that there's only one of us here, when we talk about the sonship, when we talk about God, it's nobody outside of us that's attacking us. It's you attacking you. It's me attacking me. I've met the enemy and it is us, right? It becomes this thing of, now I need to see that the things that I find wrong in the world are not wrong in the world, they're wrong inside of me. It becomes my judgments about the things. It becomes my judgments about what I'm doing. It becomes my judgments about how I'm seeing, how I'm interpreting. That doesn't mean that my battery is not gone. It doesn't mean that this guy is not crazy. It may just mean that I need to look more closely at what I'm thinking and what I'm talking. So I remember when I first found out about the battery, I heard in my mind the lesson or whatever it is that said, to have all, give all to all. And I thought to myself, I was like, but I need my battery. I need that battery. That's what I kept saying. Give all to all. Really? But I needed that battery. But now, heaven knows that I am blessed to be riding in a truck that is much nicer than my car, much more reliable than my car. And yet, and still, I'm sitting there and I'm stressing over something that has happened. To have all, give all to all. Is that not a radical idea? Is that not a radical thought? To have all, give all to all. Nothing is ever lost. Can you imagine that? You lose something, you lose some money, you lose a purse, you lose a bracelet, you lose a piece of jewelry. You think, oh my God, what has happened to it? But one of my brothers now has it, right? Somebody else has found it, and apparently somebody else needed it more than I did. So let me tell you another little story. And I'm just telling this. I don't even know if it goes along with it, but it popped into my mind. I had gone to I want to say a professional event downtown Cleveland here. It's not too far from me, but I had, it was a luncheon, and all of these professionals were getting together for this luncheon, and I had a little presentation that I was doing. Nice group, wonderful group. And when you go and you sign up, they order food accordingly. You go in and you have lunch and you listen to the speakers, and then you go back, and it's like this little thing at lunchtime. It was just wonderful. Anyway, on this particular day I presented. I did so well. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But all these people are rushing back to their office, and I'm going back to my house. And so what happened was is they had ordered all these pizzas. I mean, just delicious pizza. And so when the event is over, they had some pizza still left over. And because people were going back to their offices, they weren't going in with big pizza boxes, but I could take a pizza. So I'll tell you, I got a whole big old pizza, and it was a vegetable pizza, and it was just, the pizza was so wonderful. So I was excited about being able to go home with this pizza and to be able to just eat it without anybody knowing or counting how many pieces I had or anything like that. I was going to take this pizza home. I was going to warm it up. I had in my mind I was going to fix a salad with it. I'm going to eat maybe about 4 pieces. I'm telling you what I was going to do. Because in my mind, I knew, I could taste it already. I was so excited about this pizza. So I get into my car, I put the pizza over on the passenger seat, and I head off towards my house. I'm driving, and I remembered I needed to make a stop. I'm coming out of downtown, and so when I say I remembered I had to make a stop, I had to pull into one of those parking spaces that is at a parking meter, and I had to run into this place. I wasn't even in there for 10 minutes, I don't think, because I was just running in to pick up some paperwork that I needed to present a proposal to this company. So I go in, leave my car, had it parked. I go in, I get my stuff that I needed. I come back out, I get in my car, start the car, and as I pulled out of the parking space, and just as I get to the light, I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to grab me a piece of this mushroom off of this pizza because I'm so excited about my pizza. And I look over on the seat, and there's no pizza. I kept looking at the seat. It's like, oh my God, where's my pizza? It was a whole pizza. Where's my pizza? I kept looking at the seat as if this pizza was going to materialize out of thin air because my pizza is gone. Well, if anybody, I don't know that any of you are in Cleveland, but I was at 30th and Euclid. That's where the parking space was. On the parallel corner, the adjacent corner, parallel corner from where I was parked at is a place where they have a shelter for homeless folks. And so the corner is really a busy corner, and there's all these folks that are out there. And I'm looking on the seat, and I kept thinking, like, where the heck is my pizza? I, for some reason, even though I knew the pizza was on my passenger seat, I looked into the back seat as if it could have, like, somehow, it could have somehow jumped on the back seat. I looked on the floor. I looked everywhere. I could smell the pizza, but there was no pizza. And I sat there at the light, the horn is blowing behind me, and I'm thinking, like, well, I'll be damned. Somebody stole my pizza. Somebody stole my pizza out of my car. Just that quick. Less than 10 minutes. Somebody stole my pizza. My mouth was all set for the pizza. And it took me a minute. It took me quite a few blocks to get to the point where I was saying to myself, if somebody had to steal my pizza, apparently they needed this pizza worse than I did. Because they didn't know if I'd been picking off this pizza. I mean, they didn't know where it came from. They just took my pizza. And so after a while, I kept driving, and after a while, it took me a minute. I tell you, it took me a few minutes to get to the point where I was so happy. I got to the point where I kept saying to myself, okay, they apparently needed the pizza. Nothing is lost. Nothing is ever lost. They couldn't have stole the pizza from me. I didn't buy the pizza. Somebody gave the pizza to me. The only thing I had invested in this was the desire to sink my teeth into it, to eat it, to enjoy the pleasure of it in my mouth. That's what I had really invested in it. The fact that I had carried it out of the building, put it in my car, the fact that I had drove it to this next location, that was my investment. And somebody stole the pizza. And so I got to the point finally where I got happy about somebody stealing my pizza. And I started thinking like, wow, I fed somebody today. I facilitated somebody having a meal today. I am the cause of somebody having a delicious pizza. I mean, the thought of that, the thought of transition from victim to facilitator was maybe about 20 blocks, but it happened. I mean, it took me a moment for me to really like, to get to the point where I understood that I was in my divine right place at the divine right time because somebody else had said, I'm hungry. I need something to eat. And while they couldn't say that to me, maybe they couldn't say it to me, but they found a pizza that they could eat. What a blessing it is to be able to feed somebody else. And so, as I tell you about my battery missing in my car, I'm still driving. I'm still riding. Everything is okay. My world hasn't been shaken. There's no quakes. Yeah, my battery's been stolen. Yes, I need to fuss about it. Yes, I need to make a point that you shouldn't, take a battery out of my car, replace it with an inferior battery, and think I'm not going to notice it. Yes, I need to fuss. I need to acknowledge it because to myself, I need to be true. I need the lesson there. I need to squeeze every bit of juice I can out of that lesson. And not cheat them out of their lesson either by pretending it didn't happen. I don't want to pretend it didn't happen. I need to take every lesson, every occurrence that comes to me and squeeze every bit of juice out of it I can. And then once I squeeze every bit of juice out of it I can, then I can let it go. And then I can move on and say, okay, what's next? Because heaven knows that we're all here figuring this thing out. All of these folks, all of these occurrences, all the things that come to us for our good, for our highest good. There's nothing out there trying to get you. There's nothing out there. I heard this a sermon the other day, and in the sermon, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, be careful of taking on the victim role, because that victim role only causes us to call forth more people to victimize us. It's a terrible thing when you sit back and you listen to somebody trying to give you a position that puts you as a victim rather than a victor. And if we don't have the ability within ourselves to discern that we are never victims of the world that we see, you're never a victim. If you don't have it within you, if people aren't giving you that scenario, then you've got to figure out how you can squeeze that out of a situation so that you turn it around. Because there's something inherently wrong with people constantly getting into a role where they see themselves as a victim rather than a victor. I was talking to a friend of mine just the other day, and I said to her, I said, I don't know all the time where that point is where people take a detour into fear as opposed to love. But a lot of times what we do is that we can be on one track. We can be going along and everything be just fine. And then something occurs that causes us to have a shift in our perception. And we detour down that road where we see the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And if we stay on that road for too long, we continue to down that pathway that leads us into more fear and to more darkness. It's not the truth. From the introduction, we know that the truth is that love is our natural inheritance. And the opposite of love is fear. But what is all encompassing? So if love is all encompassing, it can have no opposites. So we detour for a moment into fear. And some people dwell there because they have not figured out how not to sit there and say what they see is only lions and tigers and bears. They don't know how to say that this enchanted forest, that there's something on the other side. They don't know how to say that I'm in the midst of this, but if I keep moving, sure as as light follows, as sure as night follows day, that eventually day will come again. So if we stay on the path and we recognize that the moment we see and the moment we give into the fear and to the things that we do not desire, the moment we give into that, then we will get more of that. But there is something about the human spirit. Even I see it in my dad. There is a resilience to our human spirit that if we keep on keeping on, eventually the clouds will part, the sky will clear, the sun will come out. Morning always comes, light always comes, love always triumphs because it is the truth of your being. And if we hold on to that, if we stay focused on that, and refuse to see only the negative, refuse to say that give it power. If we refuse, if we withdraw all that power from it that we put into it, if we just hold on, we'll see that the truth, the truth is the life. The truth is all the love that you can ever possibly imagine. The truth is that me and my brother are one, no matter whether he looks like that guy that's, you know, that I say is crazy, whether it's the guy who took my battery, whether it's the guy who took the pizza, whether whatever it is, it's only one. It's my brother. And how dare I see anything else? I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of anybody. And if I thought that I was, all I need to do is just change my mind. Yes, we are one and the same, holy and innocent. And you're drooling. I was drooling over that pizza too. So yeah, my thoughts are not neutral. I'm not alone in any of these experiences that I have. I'm not alone in the effects of it. I'll make sure that I'm not alone in the effects of it. But you know, I also know that I can call forth peace. I can call forth love. I can choose to see things differently. And yeah, I can only be a victim of my thoughts. And that is so true, Chris. You're only a victim of your own thoughts. And you can set yourself free of those thoughts. You can set yourself free of all that stuff. And so, Chris, that goes with the lesson last week that I talked about in that movie. Oh, what's the movie? Take the Lead, I think it was, with Antonio Bandera. He says, I don't see, he was like telling these folks, he was like, I don't see poverty. I don't see, divorce. I don't see broken homes. I don't see uneducated or uneducable people. I don't see people without dreams. I don't see people without, the education that they desire. I don't see all of these stuff. He says, all I see is choices. All I see is choices. You get to choose. We get to choose. At every moment, we get to choose. You're always teaching people who you are. You are love, whether you know it or not. And so, if we just hold forth and hold on to that truth, then we truly will be set free. You guys, I have had such an awesome time. Um, let me see. So yeah, I'm drooling over the pizza. Yes, I can only be a victim of, yes, you can choose. Right on, my beautiful sister. Bless your heart. So I should stop thinking. Stop thinking. So much. You know, it's all really so simple, isn't it? You know, I said to somebody, the devil is in the details, and you know, I don't like talking about the devil. It's devil ain't got no power, has no power. What is all encompassing? What is all powerful can have no opposites, can have no opposition. So I don't talk about that thing. I don't talk about that thing called the devil. It's not there. It's not real. And so, you know, but people have thoughts, you know, they have these thoughts that don't serve them, that don't lift them to their highest and best. And so, if we give up those thoughts, if we recognize that the devil is in the details, right? In the details, meaning that if you're looking too close at the details, you don't see the bigger picture. You know how they say you can't see the forest for the trees? When we're too busy looking at the details, we miss the beauty of the bigger picture. So, you guys, with that, it's time for me to go, time for me to give up the mic. I love you guys. I love you. 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 And, I should be here on Wednesday. So bless your hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. I love you. My website, sandrasaidit.com, is still in the process. Follow me on Twitter at San Bishop, SANBISHOP. Sandra Thrives is also on Facebook. You can get me there. Dr. Tuttle, I'm totally indebted. Thank you so much for that information. You guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. On Wednesday, I should be here. Ubiquinol, yeah. See ya.